Hey guys, welcome back to the happiest hour on earth. It's been a week since we were in the park. We're filming this on a Tuesday. So a week ago today, we were on our last day of our 3-day long trip. So we've got all the feels tonight. We're gonna be talking about our trip. It's gonna be kind of a recap, but also talking about how we did Disney as first-time parents in the park. So we're gonna give you guys all our tips and tricks, what worked, what didn't, and hopefully it helps you out if you're planning your trips. If not, hope you enjoy anyways. So let's get started.
All right, so something super exciting happened on our last trip. We finally got to go into Lamplight Lounge.
Finally.
We've made some drinks from there before, even though we haven't been in. And I don't know, I feel like normally we don't really do sit down at Disney, but we were so grateful to have had a chance to go to Lamplight Lounge finally.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And it was so amazing. Yeah, you got
I finally got to try the open ocean with a splash, which we made on our show. And it was like a favorite of mine. And I must say, like, it was pretty spot on. I tried it there and I was like, this is how it tasted.
So if you're missing the open ocean with a splash, check out our reel and make it at home. It's super easy.
It's a good one.
Super good.
Super refreshing. I love that drink. Oh, and I finally tried the lobster nachos, which I've always heard about at Lamplight Lounge. Well, they were at Cove Bar first, and now they're at Lamplight Lounge, and everybody always raved about them. So that's what I got for my meal, and they were bomb.
And I've never had lobster in my life. Super weird. I'm not a seafood guy, but I did try it. I was like, this is the only, first time we're at Lamplight Lounge. I gotta try it. Yeah. It was so good.
It was a good choice. Those were delicious. And then he also got Ratatouille.
Yes, I know. We watched the movie. We watched Ratatouille a few days before our trip. And I was like, I've never had Ratatouille. And I was going to go with a standard burger. I feel like that's always my go-to. But I saw Ratatouille on the menu and I was like, let's go. It was beautiful. It was really, really tasty. I don't like a lot of vegetables that were in there. Like I normally don't eat those, but in that dish, it was really, really tasty. I really enjoyed myself and I'm so glad I got that.
Yeah.
Rather than a burger that I could have gotten anywhere else. So, but for my drink, I had the Scream canister, which is what
we just made.
Yes.
He just made, technically.
We haven't tried it here yet, but since we did try it over there, I'm curious to see how this recreation fares to the
it was pretty good in the park. You liked it?
I don't remember huge
if I
fan.
even tried it. I don't think I did.
I think you did. Maybe not. I mean, how can you not love pineapple, orange juice, rum?
Anything with those is bound to be good.
That's my gosh. Let's do it. Let's try. Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
Yep.
You done good.
That is good. That is really good. I mean, it kind of tastes, it kind of reminds me of the tiki rum at Trader Sam's. But yeah, that is really, really good. Hopefully we had to, one serving of this did not fill the cup. So we actually did 2 servings. So hopefully we'll get through this episode. Okay.
Double the alcohol that I get tonight because we were technically planning to split up this drink into 2 cups. And apparently our cups are a lot bigger than the cups at Lamplight Lounge. So it filled up just 1.
Yeah. So hopefully we still make sense as the night goes on.
Hopefully he makes
You still have a little bit more than the serving suggestions.
But
so we'll see.
You do.
Oh my gosh.
We'll see how that goes.
We'll see.
It's a really good drink.
It is. I'm proud of myself. And then
really
tonight, we didn't make a Disney snack. It has been a while since we made a Disney snack, but one of our favorite snacks that we made, and we did get it back in the park again, was the Cozy Cone mac and cheese cone that we actually made a while back. And so you could find a reel of that. But we were just feeling mac and cheese, something quick. So we got these mac and cheese balls from Trader Joe's.
I feel like for snacks from now on, we're just going to be like trying new snacks at Trader Joe's.
Yeah. This is the Disney drink and the Trader Joe's snack.
Snacks.
Seriously. We'll make some Disney, but when it's not Disney, it's definitely just Trader Joe's.
It's probably going to be like a random thing from Trader Joe's that we found.
That's so good. The happiest Joes on earth. It can't be mac and cheese.
Those are really good.
So, our first trip back to Disneyland in such a long time. What stood out? I mean, to me, it felt just, other than taking our son, it felt pretty much the same except for, masks inside and on rides. It was crowded. It was pretty crowded, even though we went Sunday through Tuesday. But other than that, I felt like everything was the same, which was great.
The same. I think there's just like a backup of people in the parks right now because of how long it was closed. Everyone had to replan trips. And so I think it's just going to be crowded for a really long time. So it was definitely more crowded than we expected it to be. Yeah. Even on those random like Monday and Tuesday that we were there, there was some long lines for rides. Yeah. But it was still so nice to be back and go back. Walk in, go down Main Street. I mean, it was the magic that I just felt home. Yeah, it was so good. So, I mean, what stood out, like everything, just being there in general. Of course, it was different with a baby. It was our first time going with our child. We'd gone, like I've mentioned before, we've been with my nephew and nieces before. Yeah. But we didn't really have like the worry of caring for them the whole entire day, Exactly. So we definitely had a different experience with our son, but it was so magical seeing everything through his eyes. That's all I can really say. It's like, he's really little, so some of it doesn't make sense to him. He doesn't understand all of it, but it was just like seeing the characters and the castle and like balloons in the air, like just random things that I wouldn't even normally like think about. He was like pointing everything out, and it was all just so like new and special for him. Yeah, it could be very intimidating, I think, going for the first time with a child. But, us who have been every single year, ever since we started dating, and just kind of knowing what to expect. I mean, we love it. We have our favorite things to do. We just go and do them. And sometimes I think we can, I guess, not really take for granted a lot of the magic there because we enjoy it and appreciate it all the time. But seeing it through a child's eyes, especially your own child's eyes, is a very magical experience in and of itself. I mean, it is. And just noticing things that you wouldn't normally. That's what I thought about, was just in the eyes of a little 1-year-old, just like as I watched him, just noticing all the things that he found interesting and like amazing, it was just so special. It was, and experiencing a lot of things that we probably would, I mean, honestly, on our trips where it's just me and Em, like we usually hit our favorite rides up, and a lot of times we're not riding It's a Small World. A lot of times we're not riding Casey Jr. or whatever it is. And so kind of being forced to go on those rides makes you appreciate something that you would probably haven't really paid much attention to before. And so I know everyone's always like, oh, it's a small world, whatever. I loved seeing it through our child's eyes, and I have such a greater appreciation for that ride because of it. So a lot of things I think you just appreciate even more when you go with a child. And so that was really, really great. That was my favorite memory. Yeah. Since we're on that topic of It's a Small World, we had taken our son on quite a few rides by the time we finally went on It's a Small World. But by the end of, I think it was our second day there, we were like, okay, let's go on It's a Small World. That's something he, might like. Yeah. And this ride was my grandma's favorite ride. She's since passed away. She passed last year, but she loved Disneyland and she loved It's a Small World. It was her favorite. So for that reason, that ride is special to me, even though I don't typically go on it a lot, but I always like associate it with her in my mind. So I was like, okay, we're going to ride this for Mamo. That was my grandma's nickname. But so we brought our son on it. And even though the other rides he had been on, he like barely had reactions to. He kind of just sat there and looked at everything, The entire ride of It's a Small World, he was like clapping and dancing and pointing at everything. Like he couldn't stop. It was so fun for him, like the song and seeing all the little characters and stuff.
It was awesome.
It was the most special thing on our whole trip. Like I was bawling. I was crying. I hadn't cried really up until that moment, but I was like waterworks that entire ride. It was so special.
It was really great. Yeah.
It was a special moment.
So
that was my favorite moment of the whole trip for sure. There was some good moments, but that was the best.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved it. So should we get into some tips? I know that a lot of people, I feel like 2020 had a big boom of children. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I just feel like I kept hearing so many people have kids. So hopefully this episode can be of use to you if you have a child and are planning to go to Disney, or maybe you're just listening and you don't have a child yet, but maybe these tips will help you in the future.
Handy.
So we went on Sunday. We went with my sister and her husband. And that was really nice because they kind of shared the responsibility of watching our son while we were able to do some rides. So I would suggest going with people if you can, because then you're able to ride a lot of those rides together, which is very, very nice. The last 2 days that we were there, we were just by ourselves. So as we go through this list, we will bring up what to do when there are people watching your child, and also what to do if you are by yourself. So, but did you want to kick us off with hotel?
Yeah.
I think that's a very important thing to start with.
Start out, when you're like booking your trip and you want to know where to stay.
Yeah.
That's a big one. So the hotel that we stayed in this time, we've stayed in many hotels during our like Disney journey up till now, but we decided that for this trip, we wanted to stay somewhere close. We did not want to pay the prices of the Disneyland Hotel or the Grand California, which would be the closest probably. But we did stay in a hotel like basically right across the street from the entrance to Disneyland. So
which is super nice. Yeah.
We really, really wanted to stay close in case we needed to just like run back for stuff. So it was really nice. I definitely think it was a good idea for us. We didn't go back to the hotel as much as we had thought we might, like throughout the day. We kind of thought maybe we would like take him back there for some naps to like rest and stuff. But for us, at least, it ended up working out to just like stay in the park and like let him nap in his stroller a lot of the time. I think only one day we actually went back to the hotel.
The last day it was 100 degrees. And we're like, maybe we should go back.
Hot day on our last day there. So we did take a break at some point because we were all just done with the heat at that point. But the distant, like the proximity to the park was awesome. So nice. It was super, super nice. Staying
not worrying about like, I think for a family, especially if you're going with people, an Airbnb would be very nice, but there's not a lot of Airbnbs that are very close. So if you're at the park and your child's about to have a nap time, either driving back to an Airbnb or catching an Uber and going back to the Airbnb might be a little bit stressful. So staying close for us really worked because we knew how long it would take to get back to our hotel. We were like, okay, he's probably going to need to go to sleep pretty soon. Let's just walk back over. Very, very nice.
So if you're planning on going back often, probably skip the Airbnb and just stay in a hotel.
Yeah.
There's lots of options. There's tons. They're not like within Disneyland, but there's tons of hotels with like along Harbor, the street that Disneyland is on. So just look at your options.
Yeah. The other thing you have to take into consideration, though, which we definitely didn't take into consideration until our first night we arrived. Yeah, the night we arrived. If you want to be close, that is great. But take into consideration that on the weekends, there are going to be fireworks around 9 o'clock at night. So if your child doesn't go to sleep until after that time, you're in the clear.
Probably not a worry.
Or you could just go during the week when there's not fireworks. For the majority of the year, they usually don't during the week. But that's definitely something to think about. Our son did not wake up the second time. He was. And
the first time that they were going off for us was like the night that we arrived, and he wasn't even asleep yet because it was just a night of chaos trying to get like driving down there, getting all of our like stuff sorted out, getting dinner, trying to get him down for bed and his pack and play and everything was a process. So he didn't go to bed till late that night. So he was awake for the fireworks. Anyways, we kind of like watched them out of our window actually, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But the second time that it happened, which I think was the following night, he actually slept through them. But it is extremely, extremely loud. So if you don't want your kid to wake up from the fireworks, just realize that anything like super close is going to be loud for your kid.
Oh, yeah.
We have a sound machine that we've used with our kid since he was like a month old or 2 months old or something. Maybe since he was born. I don't know. But it definitely like blocked out a lot of the sound, which I think helped him stay asleep. Not to mention he was just like exhausted.
Wiped out.
So for us, it was okay. But just realize the fireworks are very loud. If you're staying close by, be prepared for that.
For sure. For sure. Next up on our list is going to be rides. One of the most important things to think about, because you also want to have a good time while your child has a good time as well. So like I said earlier, try to go with people. This is very nice because they could go on the rides. Like, let's say you're going with family, right? They could wait in the lines and then they could tell the cast member, hey, we need some parent passes or rider switch, it's called. And they'll just give you these tickets that will go straight into your Disneyland app. And once your family has done the ride, then you could pretty much walk straight onto the ride with the rider switch. And that way your family is just watching your child for a short time. You go on the ride, you get to experience it, and then you're done. So rider switch is something definitely you need to use while you're in the parks.
We used it a lot.
If you are not going with people, what we like to do is, let's say our son was napping. A lot of rides have single rider lines. So what you would do is the one parent would go on a single rider line, go in pretty quick, but also get that parent pass as well. And then the second parent would use the parent pass. And we were able to do that quite a bit. Like once he went to sleep and napped, then we would just single rider, grab parent pass, and the next person would go and he would still be asleep. And we were able to do some big rides that way.
It was awesome.
Now, one thing that might be coming out pretty soon is the Genie Plus app. This will be the only way to get fast passes once Genie Plus is available. It's a bummer. I love fast passes so much, but currently fast passes aren't being offered. But once Genie Plus is, you will have to pay for them, but that might be very beneficial if you do have kids. So just take that into consideration. Unless you're just there by yourself, like we said, then you could just, for most rides, single rider and then grab the parent pass and go. But if you are there with family, they could get a fast pass for a certain ride, go on the ride very quick while they get their parent pass, and then you could go on immediately after. So that's something definitely to take into consideration.
So, okay, moving on from the Genie Plus, the other thing that we found to be very helpful, if you're taking your kid on rides, they generally are not a fan of sitting in line. Most kids.
Who is?
I mean, none of us like it. But kids are not as good at like holding in their disdain for it. Like they're probably going to have like a meltdown at some point in a line. Ours definitely did. It was not fun, but you just got to deal with it. But it's a good idea, I would say, to definitely provide like some snacks, some toys, like games, whatever, like depending on your kid's age range, there's stuff that you can do to entertain them, keep them kind of happy during the waits in line, because they're inevitably going to have to wait in some lines, and you want to prevent them from getting upset if you can. You know, it's probably going to happen at some point, but definitely keep them hydrated, especially if it's a hot day. We had some kind of hot days when we were there. Water, snacks, entertainment, great ideas for those lines.
Lines are tough with the babies.
Really tough. I mean, we did okay, I would say, but there was a few moments he definitely was not happy about it. But anyways, moving on. We would also say that we have some sleep tips that could come in handy. I mean, you know, depending on your kid's age, that could, it could vary. These sleep tips may not apply to you. So
for context, our son is a little over 1 year old. So he's 14 months.
He'll be 14 months soon. So he's just over a year. So, naps are very important for him. So we're like, I wouldn't say I have him on like a strict schedule of sleep, but I definitely like to make sure that he gets his naps when he needs them. Disneyland is a very stimulating, exhausting place for a little kid, especially that age, that's never experienced it before and whose like everyday lifestyle is nothing like that. So I wanted to make sure that he got the rest he needed to not just be like completely exhausted, overtired, during the trip. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that we could get him naps throughout the day. Didn't know if it was going to be solely in his stroller or if we were going to end up needing to go back to the hotel. Most of it ended up being in a stroller. He was tired enough, thankfully, to just nap in there. We did bring his little speaker with his sound machine that he's always slept to since he was a baby, like a tiny baby. Yeah. That really helped.
JBL clip. We thought that was super helpful on our trip just because it's small, compact, wireless, and you could just like clip it onto your stroller, which is great.
Super helpful. So we just used that with his iPod that has his vacuum sound. Like he loves the sound of a vacuum going. It really relaxes him. So we brought that with us, and hearing that sound helps him to just kind of tune everything else out and nap when he needs to. So our trick was that, and like giving him his little Mickey stuffed animal. And
the stuffed animal was key. Actually,
I didn't realize,
even think that
because he doesn't typically sleep at home with stuffed animals. But we had gotten him a Mickey during the trip, like a plush, and I was like, maybe I'll just want to like hold it while he sleeps. So every time I gave it to him, he just like snuggled up with it and fell asleep. So
it was great.
It was great, and that was important. Both of those things, and also just kind of finding the quiet where you can. I mean, it's kind of hard to do, even when you find a quiet spot. Sometimes people are loud. Yeah. But if you can kind of maneuver yourself away from the crowd, find something where there's not a lot going on, that was really helpful for us.
Yeah. We had a couple of places.
Yeah, some random spots that you probably wouldn't even think about. But the first day we brought him to kind of the area next to Matterhorn,
kind of near where like the popcorn, I think, station is, but it's right at that fork in the road where you could either take a right to a right to Small World or a left to Alice. There's a little place underneath
like
the monorail.
It kind of goes in.
Yeah, there's a little place that's right near, like under the monorail tracks, which the monorail wasn't going at that time. And it was very, very quiet. And he just fell asleep really quick.
He was really tired
during that,
first day.
And it was very, you had a little bit of Autopia cars going by, but that did not wake him up. There was another place in Disneyland too. So right near, Fantasyland, kind of near Small World, but actually at the Fantasyland Theater.
It's kind of a mellow area, just
especially because the theater isn't running right now, so there's no Mickey and the Magical Map. We went over there for a nap and it was great. The one thing you have to think about though is Small World every like 15 minutes will do its thing, the clock will go off, and then also you're by the trains, so that might wake them up if they are not using a sound machine. With the sound machine, he actually did pretty good. There were some stupid kids who were...
Some hoodlums came in and were just being loud, like for no reason at all, and woke him up from his
They were
nap.
like destroying the garbage can very loudly.
Yeah,
and
there was no reason for it, but he was just like playing with the garbage and letting it close really loud, and my kid woke up. So... Of course, his nap was cut short that day.
Yeah, but it seemed like a good area.
Yeah, that area in general is pretty like out of the hustle and bustle of things. So it's, I would say, a pretty good spot to go if you want to de-stimulate your child for a little nap.
Yeah. And as we're just thinking about more, that's mainly the places that he slept in Disneyland. Now, things off the top of my head, we haven't used these, but I think they could do really well. if it's at a random time underneath Hungry Bear, that like lower level, maybe all the way off in a corner, could be very good. It's shaded, right? And during times where they're not selling food, there's not going to be a lot of people there. So that might be a good spot. Along any trails in Star Wars land, I feel like there's long trails where not a lot's happening. That could also be a good place, somewhere just that's away from the crowds. Everywhere else is pretty busy. You know what? Maybe the Frontierland to Fantasyland. There's some good spots there that could be really quiet, but we did not get to try.
Yeah, we didn't get to try it, but think about yourself as well. You want to find something where you can also take a little rest while your child is resting.
Yeah.
If you can find somewhere that has a bench and is shaded and is like comfortable for everyone, that's where it's at.
That's the prime spot.
Because I have to say it was even more exhausting than it used to be doing Days in Disney.
Yeah.
With a kid now. It's very
we survived
tiring. So
I mean, the first 2 days though, we didn't even go back to the hotel.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was tiring, but we did it. And I think that 3 days was a good amount for us because we were able to kind of spread things out while also getting, everything done that we wanted to. So
for sure.
It was fun. But also in California Adventure, real quick, there was a few other spots that we thought we'd mention if you want some quiet nap spots for your kid. We had him nap in Grizzly Peak Airfield. There's a spot where there's some restrooms kind of sort of by where Ariel's Undersea Adventure is, like more like between there and Grizzly Peak. So it's just kind of a quiet, shady area.
Yeah.
Right.
I think Grizzly Peak in general is just
Grizzly Peak in general. If you can find anything in that area, it's just very peaceful. So I definitely was planning his nap times around being in that area. So that was a good spot. I think he had a nice, good long nap there.
He did.
And there, sometimes there's stuff going on that's loud, but if they're tired enough, they're just going to sleep through it. So these are just our ideas and where we went. Yeah. Also, along the spot that you found, there's kind of like this walkway that we didn't ever see really before. I've never walked through there, but coming out of those restrooms where we were, rather than taking that path that everyone goes, like along where the river rapids are, going the opposite direction.
Underneath the lift of the river rapids. Yeah. So that big first
where
lift?
It starts going up. Going around that direction, there's like this beautiful, peaceful area where there's like a waterfall and just like random.
There's nothing really happening there. The one thing though is that there is no. I don't remember any benches there, so you might have to sit, on the ground. But it is a lot quieter in that area. But also another good spot that we thought was going to be good, but our son just didn't sleep there, even though I think it's the most relaxing place in California Adventure. Yeah. The Grand Californian, either in that lobby if people aren't being too loud, or just any other area within that vicinity, I think would work pretty well. I think our son was just like kind of over it at that time and didn't want to go to sleep. So but I think that would be a pretty good spot. There's it's a little more darker, it's a little more shaded, and which is nice.
It's nice and dim.
Yeah, lighting. Dim lighting. Yeah.
Nice and cool inside.
For sure.
We thought it was going to be a great spot, but he was just not having it at the time. But give that a shot.
Yeah. Next up, bathroom tips. So bathrooms. I don't know if your kid is like ours, but he does not like being changed. And I didn't want Emily to have to solo in a very busy women's bathroom on the changing table. And so I just went into the women's restroom with her. No, just kidding. No, so there are one of the best tips that we found and that worked so perfectly for us is there are companion restrooms in almost every land, which is so great because we just all went in. I mean, it's just a private bathroom for families. So Emily, me, and our son Chance, we just went in there. It's just peaceful and quiet because you're the only ones in there, and you're able to just change him by yourself without people running in and out of the bathrooms.
I think there was only people in one of them like one time.
One time, they're usually
out of
pretty
all the
open,
times
yeah.
that we found a companion restroom, they were like always open. It was so nice.
Yeah.
And it was awesome for us because we just got to like regroup for a second,
yeah.
like, you know, change the diaper, maybe change, like do a change of clothes, whatever.
Yeah.
And those bathrooms were
the best. Yeah.
awesome during our trip. So we used quite a few of these, not all of them, but we thought we'd just kind of go through where a lot of these companion restrooms are in case you are going to be utilizing them. So in Disneyland, along Main Street, the First Aid building has one. Adventureland, there's one just to the left of the Tiki Room. We did use this one. If you're going into the Tiki Room, it's like in that area right where the room is, and it's just to the left. In Star Wars Land, there is one, I guess, where like the main hub of restrooms is. I don't think we used that one.
Yeah, no.
But that's there. Also in Fantasyland near the theater where he took his nap, that was one that we used. And then in Tomorrowland, between the Launch Bay and Autopia area, there's one. I don't think we used that one.
We didn't use that one, yeah. In California Adventure, on Buena Vista Street, First Aid Building, again, similar to Main Street. Cars Land, there's one in Flo's V8 Cafe. I heard that this one gets a little bit packed and busy. All the people eating breakfast, I guess, and need to go to the bathrooms. That's a busy one there. Pacific Wharf near the Ghirardelli Building. There's one. Marvel near Web Slingers. Grizzly Peak, that is the bathroom near Little Mermaid and the shops. We did use that one as well. I think there's one also in Pixar Pier, right when you come out of Midway Mania. I think there are companion restrooms there too.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see that in the list we looked at. But yeah, there's a lot of companion restrooms. You're never too far from one. If you need to find one, ask a cast member and they'll point you directly to one. Yeah. Super nice. They're way better than trying to struggle on the regular bathrooms.
Yeah. We use those a lot. They're really, really helpful. So after the restroom situation, let's talk about food a little bit. Our son is one. He eats pretty much anything at this point. If you have babies, you're going to need to think about other food scenarios for them. But food in general in Disneyland, most places offer kid foods. You know, you're going to find the standard like mac and cheese, cheeseburger, like chicken tenders, that kind of stuff at most of the restaurants and like quick service places. So our son had a lot of that. But we did bring, you know, some snacks for him, the kind of stuff that he has at home, because, you know, we wanted him to, you know, be comfortable and, you know, his tummy to not get too upset being unused to the things that he doesn't have all the time. So he did have some of his own snacks, but they do provide also, you know, some like fruit pouches and fruits like, you know, oranges. He had some oranges and stuff with his meals. So that was nice. But, you know, if you prefer to just bring in meals for your child, that's totally fine too. I mean, they don't like prevent you from bringing in meals. So if you want to keep your kid on their healthier stuff or whatever stuff that you prefer to give them, just bring in your own food.
Yeah, for sure. And on that, you know, bringing in food, just a couple of things to bring in the park that we thought was very beneficial. As Em said, there, you know, depending on your child's age, you're either going to want to bring the stuff or not. You know, you just have to kind of alter these things depending on, you know, how old they are. But things that we really thought were great. We had a stroller fan, which was great for the hot days, but our baby kept putting his fingers in them. Yeah. So maybe it wasn't a good idea.
Maybe even not the greatest idea. It was supposed
just get
to
a
be
fan
helpful.
with like barely any room, but their fingers are so tiny.
Fingers are tiny.
I know.
Yeah, he was determined to put his fingers in there, and every time he did it, he started crying.
He cried, and then that's the thing with babies. You're like, why
don't
do you
keep doing
going?
it?
But
then.
yeah. Oof.
But he kept doing it, so we just ended up not using the fan.
So maybe you could get a stroller fan that's maybe like super out of the way for them, so their little arms can't go to it.
But then is it even going to reach them?
Yeah, I know.
Maybe not.
Yeah, so maybe don't bring.
Maybe don't do that. Disneyland does have these like mist/fan things that we saw after we got there, and we already had this little stroller fan that we had bought. I thought that they were kind of like ridiculously expensive and not worth it to buy at the point that we realized
It's like the last day, and I was like,
I'm not gonna spend. It was like $25 or something for just this little like spray thing, so we didn't do it. But if you're desperate, they have those there. Otherwise, maybe get something like that, but like from Amazon or Target or something.
Yeah,
I'm sure they have similar things for much cheaper.
For sure. Yeah. One thing that we heard about, which kind of worked a little bit, was a bottle holder. It like straps to the stroller, so that like, you know, they could drink their water, but if they're prone to throwing it,
like
it'll stay attached to the stroller. But then he figured out how to unhook it. So that didn't work.
Velcro.
While these first two are like duds.
Should be helpful,
should be good, but our
if
baby
your
is
kid's like ours.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good one. Sound machine clip.
Very important.
A clip speaker for the sound machine. Very important if you do use that. Snacks, toys, hand wipes. Hand wipes, definitely.
Yeah.
They touch everything, and you're like, I don't know what the
who knows what
where that's
and
been.
Who has been touching this?
They'll touch anything in Disneyland.
Yeah.
So hand wipes.
Mouths on things.
Gross.
Can't really wipe their mouths out, but
yeah. And change your clothes. We're just good.
Yeah. I changed his clothes once or twice because I feel like the temperature in the day changed a little bit. So I just thought it was a good idea to have a spare change of clothes, maybe a sweatshirt if it gets cold at night. It's good to just have things on hand.
Yeah.
Maybe they spill something gross on their clothes and you just want to change them out of it.
Yeah.
It's just always a good idea to be prepared, you know? So if you are staying far away, you don't have to be like, well, you're stuck in this all day. Like,
yeah. And then Avi, diapers, all that good stuff. Don't forget the diapers.
Diapers, wipes. We have like a diaper pad that we laid down so that they weren't laying directly on like that like fold out thing.
I have to say, different type of Disney trip. You gotta like, it's not like, let's just rough it out. I have my phone, I have my charger, I have like my clothes. You won't have to bring a lot more stuff. The line to get in with the security will take a little bit longer.
Takes longer.
But don't let that deter you. Disneyland with a baby. So awesome. And so great.
Having a stroller can be stressful, but it's also nice because it's
you
like
put everything
storage for everything. So
it's so great.
Like cup holder, you got the entire like storage compartment.
Oh, it's perfect.
Down below, like
Heck yeah.
And on that topic, I know this should have been mentioned in the sleep part of it, but we also have like on our stroller, which is the Mockingbird. Great stroller, but it has this feature where you can like tip it to different levels, like back. And it's really nice if they want to take a nap.
Super great.
To just like have them laying down because his head kept going like this when he was sleeping. So I would just tilt him and it was super comfy.
Perfect,
so if you have a stroller that does that, it does come in handy at Disneyland.
It does. Yeah. So we wrapping this thing up. Do you want to take it?
Yeah. I mean, I would say just more than anything, be flexible for your child's first time at Disneyland. Don't think you're going to go in there and do what you normally do. It's just not going to be that way.
Yeah.
You can, maneuver and adjust where you want to and where you're able to logistically, but it is going to be different. You're going to be dealing with a child who is temperamental, and there's external factors that come into play in Disneyland that are going to affect your child's mood and just make it a different experience. So be prepared for that. Oh, one other thing, meant to mention this before as well, but we brought our son into the Art of Animation.
Oh,
or
yes.
Animation Academy. I can't remember which of those it's called.
You guys know what we're talking about.
It's
that
right
beautiful
on
dark
Hollywood
building with the
Boulevard. Hollywoodland.
Hollywoodland.
Hollywoodland,
yeah.
Hollywoodland by
right
Off
next
the
to
Page.
Off the Page,
store. there's that room of just like Disney music and art
And AC.
scenes and AC going up on, on the screens all the time. And we brought our son in there and he loved it. Not as much of like a rest spot necessarily. I mean, I guess it could be.
It was like a little
be.
break, but it wasn't like a sleep spot. Yeah.
Yeah. But I've always loved going in there for like a breather. Like it's good for adults and kids. If you just want to go like sit down on those couches that they have in the middle of the room and just like be cooled off and listen to Disney and watch Disney on the walls on the screens.
It's great.
It's a great place to go, and our son loved it in there. He was like running around and just like pointing at everything the whole time.
Yeah.
Such a good spot to hang out.
So
I wish we
awesome.
would have gone in there more times, but sometimes it's just inconvenient to get to it when you're somewhere else. But great spot to hang out. So.
Another spot that was really nice too, if your kid is 1 to 2 or that kind of age. I mean, even older than that.
I would say
the
any age.
Yeah, I
kid.
think it's called the Redwood Creek Trail. It's like the Doug and Russell
like a huge
Wilderness
park.
Explorer Trail or whatever. It's nice because it's like only really families over there, and there's just like it's like the biggest playground you'll ever think of, and it was just really fun. He loved it. Just kind of a break from the standing in lines, going on rides, all that kind of thing. So if they're of that age and they would appreciate it, I think that was something very nice to go to break up the day.
Yeah, definitely. Our son loved it there. We hung out there for a little bit, and it was another thing that we wouldn't normally do, but found an appreciation for it, and we'll probably go back lots more times with our son because it's just a good little like place for him to run around and like do some stuff for himself. It's kind of hard in Disneyland and California Adventure to let him run around because there's just people everywhere. He's always getting in someone's way, and then he doesn't always enjoy being in a stroller. So I feel like that was a good spot to just kind of let him go.
Yeah.
Obviously, like follow him around because it can be dangerous there too. But it was just a good spot to bring him for sure.
It was, yeah. And so I think in conclusion, know that it's going to be a different type of trip, but just have fun and just know that a lot of the stressful moments you're not going to remember. As time goes on, there's been a lot of stressful moments, raising a child in our lives, and we just usually don't remember those. There's the highlights stick out far greater than the stressful moments. So even though the trip might definitely be stressful and different and all that stuff, down the line you're going to remember those amazing moments. So just shove all that stuff aside, experience their first Disneyland trip, and just soak it all up because it really is amazing.
It really is. Yeah. It's different, but it's magical for new reasons. It's like, like our last night in the park, we were like, what's something that we can all do together that's new for all of us, like that we haven't done and he hasn't done. So we decided that we're going to make a tradition out of riding the Mark Twain riverboat.
Yeah, to end our trip.
As our end of the trip, like wrap up. And so we did that for the first time on this trip, and it was so fun and special. Our son was very tired and not in the best mood at this point. So it was like...
He was walking around, he was screaming, he was crying. I was like, wow, everyone's going to hate us. But hey, it was a magical time. So.
It was still magical, and it was a first time thing. So it was really fun anyways. So just find the magic in the moments that you can, and the rest of it just try to forget about, because it's temporary. The magic is what stays, the stress is always there, but you just want to remember the fun stuff the most. So
for sure.
Hopefully this helped you guys in some way. We probably have more stuff that we even could have talked about. If you have questions, you can DM us on Instagram and we'll respond with the best advice we can. And hopefully this was helpful for for you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening again. I know today when this episode is coming out, we're going to be listing whoever won the giveaway, so that's super exciting. Thank you guys for all your support and your subs and your listens and everything. It really means a lot. You guys are amazing, and we will catch you guys next week when we have some more fun topics to talk about. We'll see you guys then.
We'll see you next time, you guys.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.